This is the Crystal Chronicles, your Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omnia podcast, with Erolai, Black Cloud, Keiss, and Mark, bringing you all your Defo news and talk. Welcome to Season 4, the LDBT era. Now let's start the show.
Welcome everyone to episode 120 of the Crystal Chronicles. I am Mark, and I am so glad you are all here as we discuss all your Defo news and talk of the day. So, I'm not alone, because that's not how we do this. We like to have a host of hosts, and my first host is one you know and love. Her name is Arrow. Arrow, how are you doing today?
Doing fantastic. The census work is almost done in my area.
Very good. Keiss is also with us. Keiss had a little bit of a rough night, but you are here with us today.
Yes, I am. Work has been crazy. DFFO has finally swung the pendulum in luck the wrong way for me, but I am doing better.
Yes, this is not a new mic. Normally it's just sitting on my desk because I have been using a laptop. So this microphone sits in front of the laptop and the camera is right here. And so you get to see my head because I am looking at the camera and looking at the screen. But I no longer have a laptop. I have a tower and I have two very large screens and a webcam right here. And so if I leave this on the desk, this is what happens. Or if I'm over here, this is what happens. So, yes, I have not figured out the logistics of that. That's why I am holding this mic like a crazy person. So, thank you all for pointing that out. Hey, there's one more person here today. You may know him as Black Cloud Strife. You may know him as Black Nero on YouTube. You may know him as the penultimate Defo tier list creator. And a whole bunch of other things. Everybody give a warm welcome to our good friend, Black Cloud. Black Cloud, how are you doing today?
I was about to say, wow, I'm the penultimate, but then I remember what that word means. I got what you meant.
There you go.
I am happy today. I just hit 800 subscribers on YouTube. I think I've hit like 200 in the past month because I've really been trying to ramp up my algorithm game and all that. So feeling pretty good. This was a special time in JP with Ardyn and all the like, and I felt like I could contribute, so I volunteered to come on the podcast today, and I am looking forward to it.
Congrats on hitting 800 subs.
Yes, and if you have not gone to Black Nero on YouTube, you can just search Black Nero Defo. Go right now and like, sub, ring the bell for notifications. And we also have a YouTube channel. You should probably do the same thing there. Doesn't cost you anything except your valuable seconds, and that helps us. But we want to get Black Cloud over 1,000 subs because that's when the money comes in.
Yes,
that's when the money comes in. So got to get the money rolling. Got to get paid. All right. Well, speaking of getting paid. There's Tease. That was not a great segue because I was going to talk about the costume, but I'll go out of order. Yes, there is a new costume that you can buy in the shop, and it is Ardyn's Holy King before he went crazy costume. It's white. You might like it or not. I'm not a huge fan, but hey, buy the costumes because that's how we get the money. No, that's how the game gets the money. But yeah, so that is available. And there is also a limited time sale. We'll talk a little bit about that too, interestingly enough. But what I was going to start with in the news of the day is a TCC challenge and the announcement of some TCC challenge winners. So last week we introduced you to Basch's Lost Chapter, a Captain's Loyalty TCC challenge, which banned the feature characters Vaughn, Basch, Sarah, and we also banned Eald'narche, Amidatelion, Arciela, Kefka, Keiss, Kistis, Pelham, Porum, the girl, and Noctis, and of course no BT mode. No extreme for this one. This was kind of a pain, but congratulations to the 26 winners of the TCC Challenge. Very good job. Glad to have all of you participate in that. We will talk about the TCC Challenge for the 9 event later tonight or in a few minutes. All right, well, that does move us from the news of the day, and there were plenty of updates and other things, to the 9 event, which we had launch right as we started last week. We did not get a chance, therefore, to talk about the Chaos Fight, the Challenge Quest, or the TCC Challenge. So let's go in a little bit of detail over 9's event. Remind you, if you're looking for help on any of these boss fights, you can go to our friend Macnol's website, DecidiaInfo.com, and that is a wonderful source for all things Defo, including wonderful boss guides, including the Call to Arms, which has wonderful video runs, and also Chocobo guides and other things. So there is a nice little boss guide on the power of Action 9's event, where you fight 2 waves. The first wave, a Commander Beast and Worker Beast. We have fought these wolves many, many times, these beast monsters. Of course, the middle one pumps up the little ones, can respawn them, makes them kind of a pain in the butt if you don't manage all of their brave, but pretty much par for the course. The new enemy is an ESP doll and 2 mini ESP dolls, and they're kind of machine archetypes. And they're not particularly challenging, but they can be somewhat threatening. The main one, the ESP doll, has a recharge ability called Lapis Circle, which can generate a huge amount of brave and do a big AoE attack. And if that doesn't kill you, he can pull one of the dolls or both of them and make their turns come right after his. So that's kind of the threat with this AoE attack, this recharge attack, is he basically can bring his minions, the adds, turns closer to his, so if his AoE HP attack doesn't kill you, then the adds will have that chance to kill you. So other than that, it's a pretty straightforward fight. There's a couple other little things that go beyond that, but yeah. So anybody would, Basch is synergy on this, and he makes it a joke. But Arrow, I believe you brought 9 to the event, so is there something you wanted to share with how 9 worked in this?
I thought 9 was great. I did the challenge quest in under 30 turns with him and Fujin and Noctis without burst effect, by the way. So it just comes down to timing the LD when the red charge bar is full, because that'll prevent the HP damage from the bosses. And then it doesn't matter on the follow-up if one of the bots decides to just HP attack right after that, or even in if they try to brave attack you, it isn't going to matter. You got the shields from 9 anyway to prevent that. So do you want me to talk about if you use non-synergy as well right now, or do you want to wait a moment on that?
No, go ahead and talk about non-synergy. That would be great.
Yeah, if bringing non-synergy, you got to have a way to deal with that red charge skill, because that sucker hurts. So I used Dash in my non-synergy run because I wanted to just lower the brave damage I would take. And it is a magic attack, so that's something to keep in mind. Make sure you have used Dash's first skill before that red charge bar skill goes off, just to make sure you're in the right stance. Otherwise, there's other characters. I've seen some people using Leon. Some of the other standard tanks can also help you out here. I think, of course, Snow could help. I don't remember who else really has been used too much for tanking the damage. Of course, you can always just debuff the enemy a lot, but you got to be a little careful with that, because they do buff themselves with a couple buffs, so you got to be careful that they don't, the max brave buffs or whatever you're using to deal with the HP attack is not going to get pushed off, because that was a problem I had and I did my run with my team. So Generally, it's not too bad as long as you can deal with that mechanic from that boss. If you can't, then you probably need to try a different team setup and just try to have ways to prevent the HP damage to some degree.
Keiss, did you have any insights from this fight, whether it was the regular quest or the challenge quest?
If you bring Basch, this fight is a joke, is one of the main takeaways. 9 also trivializes the fight quite substantially. And if you don't bring either of them, then the fight gets a lot harder, substantially harder, is my understanding. I did not bother doing this much outside of just using Basch. I've been busy with other games, so I did not spend a lot of time experimenting without Basch myself. A couple things to mention that are worth noting and tie into the TCC challenge that we'll be talking about. If you kill those ads that the boss has, the mini ESP dolls, before you kill the boss gets a lot more dangerous. So you probably want to keep them alive as long as possible, because them being around is actually technically better than killing them too soon. If you kill them really early on, the boss gets really dangerous, and it's probably going to be harder to deal with. Killing them around the same time as the boss, I think, is the most ideal strategy for that reason. Because they get really strong when the boss dies, too, is also another notable thing.
Yeah, they do. And they have a healthy amount of HP themselves. So, yeah, they don't die easily, but they can die, with enough AoE damage or splash damage. Black Cloud, did you have any thoughts on this particular fight?
Just a bit of a story. I tried doing a non-synergy run. I think it was Barret, Warrior Light, and Selfie, I want to say, maybe. And I think about 3 turns into the actual wave, I died. I'm like, nope, never mind, Basch. Yeah, I give up.
Well, the good news is your Basch can actually get through with, I see, depending on your Noctis, because the synergy for this challenge quest was Noctis as the LDBT character, Basch with his LD, Fujin, Barret, and I'm missing. Oh, and 9. I'm missing somebody.
The event character, Mark.
Character who is on the event. So if you pulled for 9, he's also a good character to use on this. But let's say you didn't pull for 9 because you're one of the 9,999 million people who did not do that. That wasn't a number. Good news is you can actually get away with using a non-LD Basch or EX only Basch, not EX only, but I think there's even a run with a 35 CP Basch. Belial did one, our good friend Belial. Noctis, LDBT, Fujin 0 realized EX, and a Basch 35 challenge quest. Yeah, I mean, you gotta be kidding. So it is possible. I'm not sure it's suggested, but you do have a few options with 5 characters available. 9 or Basch kind of provide the role of the tank. Noctis, obviously, if you have his LDBT, is going to save you a lot of time and trouble. And then Fujin and Barret kind of act as that support. I think Fujin is the better choice because she's awesome. But Barret did get his character boards and has an EX realization, so he's not garbage. Complete garbage. All right, well, there is a TCC challenge for this, as we have just mentioned, and it looks like this. The TCC challenge for 9's event would ban the following characters: Noctis, 9, Basch, Barret, Fujin, Eald'narche, Amidatelion, Keiss, Gabranth, and Aphmau. You can imagine those are characters that are all pretty good on this event. Of course, no BT mode, but you can use any friend or summon that you would like. But those friend units are also banned for that list as well. So all bans also apply to friends. Let me put it that way, as it is written. And of course, all of this done by our team and Keiss and Macnul, and I know Black Cloud has been helping out, and Ricky Shu and Arrow and several other people. There is an extreme challenge. Extreme. The extreme challenge bans the same number of characters. No friend. You have to use either Chocobo or Spirit Moogle. And the exceptional extreme version is analyze this. You have to eliminate one of the mini ESP dolls before the main boss falls below 50% HP. So as Keiss was mentioning, it gets a little bit more powerful when one of their people die. When one of its ads die, so you have to kill one of the ads before it gets below 50% HP. So that is the that's the challenge. Drez64 is asking, so friend unit can use their burst. Keiss, do we have a ruling on that in the normal TCC challenge?
What was the ruling?
No, I'm just asking, do we have a ruling on that? So if I bring, let's say, of course, you cannot bring Ardyn to this because he's released after that. But let's say I wanted to bring Shantoto for some reason. And I brought her as a friend. Can I use her burst attack?
As a friend unit, no.
Yes. Okay, so no burst mode, period, whether it is a friend or player. So there you go. You may use all the LDs you want, but for your friend unit, there cannot be a burst action taken. All right, that is the ruling as of today. So, TCC Challenge, Extreme. Yes, just don't touch the button. You can have the burst weapon equipped, of course. You just cannot touch the button. Don't touch the button.
Yeah, no burst abilities.
Don't touch the button. Hey, well, that was last week's news. We got new news. This week's news is there is an autumn. It's called the Autumn Festival, not the Fall Festival, correct? No, I'm not just. I'm not trying.
Probably the autumn.
I'm not trying to be an asshole. I'm just saying that's what. I'm not trying to be confusing. Yes, the Autumn Festival, an autumn campaign started last night. The 23rd here in the United States. We will be getting free multi-pulls on every banner that has Ardyn's BT. So that would be this current banner with Ardyn's LDBT. That would be the next raid banner with Renoa's LD. That would be Kamari's LD banner. And that would be Edward's LD. So we will get one free multi on each of those, which I believe, as Black Cloud said in his pull video, makes it for a good investment. Because, yeah, it's one less multi for pity. Yeah. In the midst of that, we also have double Psycho Quests, and our Psycho Quest reset. Since we hadn't had double Crystal Psycho Quests since the new Psycho Quests, we actually had reset. So make sure you do all 3 quests for all of the different Psycho Quests because you're getting free gems. So if you're low on crystals like I was because I couldn't fully crystal strength Ardyn, you can catch up on crystals real easily with these new quests. And we have double cycle quest. And we also have the World of Illusion Chocobo Treasures. You have to do that a few times. It did not reset, so no new rewards, but you have to do it at least 10 times because you have a new Autumn Campaign Chocobo Panel Mission, which has all the good rewards that your normal Chocobo Panel missions have. And if you're looking on the best way to beat that, of course, our friend Macnell at DecidiaInfo.com will have your guide to that. Yes, Psycho Quests. There are Psycho Quests. Just Abyss, that last Abyss level, that was a Psycho Quest. I think we're pretty good on quests for a while. But anything else about Fall Campaign? Arrow, did you have anything that you noticed about Fall Campaign that I didn't share with us?
I cannot think of anything, but I am so glad we got ×2 Cycle Quest again. I've been waiting for a while because I finally am finished getting everybody to crystals level 70, but I am out of crystals from the process. So I'm just ready to go and farm this weekend while watching a movie.
That sounds good. Keiss, was there anything I left out on that?
I don't think so. Just make sure you get through the Autumn Festival 1 Chocobo mission panels. Most of them you should get through pretty easily. The one notable one is edit your stickers. That one you might not do accidentally. Everybody better edit their stickers currently. And it does require you to switch stickers around.
Yeah. Yeah. Black Cloud, are you excited about free draws? Do you know if Japan got free draws on this cycle of quests?
I don't remember anymore. It's so jumbled.
Yeah.
It's too much detail.
Who knows? I know,
don't know.
generally speaking, we've had more free draws than Japan, but who's counting?
I feel like there were. Actually, I think there was a freebie on 9 that we didn't get. Because that's right. Because I have 9's LD and JP, but I definitely skipped the hell out of his banner.
Yeah.
So maybe it was slightly staggered behind us.
Right.
But I think these are polls people care more about. So I think it wins in the end.
Yeah.
Mithrin is saying JP did not get free polls on Ardyn. So good to know. Thank you, Defo, for the free polls on that. And thank you for double cycle quest rewards, double artifact tokens when. So that's how it squeaks Joshua. We got to get some artifact tokens going on because I'm running out of artifact tokens. Maria's artifacts are not looking good. Let me put it that way. All right. Hey, we did get a new event last night. Act 2, Finale, Part 1, The Chosen King's Future. This brings us a new chapter event, a new character, Ardyn from Final Fantasy XV, Maria's rework and realization, a potential co-op chaos, and an unexpected GL exclusive challenge quest, which we're going to talk about a whole lot, I'm sure. But before we do, let's talk about Maria. I once knew a girl named Maria. That's true, actually. But what did Maria get, Keiss, and why do we care?
Sure. So Maria got a pretty sizable boost with her rework. She wasn't very good, considering the last time she was touched was when she got her EX on her Lost Chapter over a year and a half ago now. So it's been a long time since she's gotten any tweaks other than just getting her 70 Awakening. So she has now been upgraded to be a battery character who also provides healing. She has some party auras. They're not substantial party auras, so they're not very good. Give me 1 second. I gotta step away.
Yeah, Arrow, would you like to take over a little bit talking about Maria since you have the most experience with her?
Sure.
I'm back.
Oh,
I
okay.
apologize
Never
for
mind.
that. I'm really sorry about that.
No worries. You talk about her now.
Yeah, I apologize. So big changes that have happened to Maria. She has a new frame buff that's on her skill 2 now called Anti-Imperial Force. It gives the party a physical attack aura and a max brave aura. She now has a small... she still gives the party a physical attack up generic buff with Arrow Rain, her skill 2. Both her skill 1 and skill 2 now both battery the party based on max brave. She has a better heal on her skill 2 now. It heals the party based on damage dealt, HP damage dealt, but it can heal up to 45% of max HP. A couple other things. Skill 1 is wind damage, remember that. But it's a guaranteed hit, and it does splash damage now, which it didn't do before. Her Brave ++ batteries the party 100% of her attack, and her HP ++ batteries the party, her allies, based on half the damage it deals. Her EX now does 50% splash damage. It's executed twice, and she gets a free ability use after she uses it, and the Explode debuff now is applied to all targets rather than just a single one. Remember, the Explode debuff now, or always, dealt brave damage after the enemy's turn at the end, and also battery the party based on the brave damage dealt. The brave damage dealt is based on the enemy's int brave. I think that's everything. Notable passives or auras that I didn't mention. She has a small speed aura and a small int brave aura that aren't mentioned elsewhere. So those are notable things. And the last thing is that she has the overheal being turned into brave for herself personally, like the other Final Fantasy II characters, Firion and Leon. So if she overheals herself, she gets some, or if anyone overheals her, she gets brave gain instead. These things bring her up to par, but she still doesn't really bring really amazing attack auras. If you combine the physical attack boost with her new framed buff aura plus her generic attack buff, it's together pretty nice for physical attackers, but it's not amazing. So she really does need some help if you're trying to bring together some benefits for attacking. Otherwise, her stats are good. She does bring a pretty chunky healing if you can make sure you're capping the damage. And she does bring sizable batteries on all of her attacks. Just note that the free ability use is only if you fully realize her, and that's notable because I don't think everyone is going to fully realize her at this point. Maria is not a popular character, so keep that in mind. Uh, a couple other things. Both of her skills, skill 1 and skill 2, are high turn rate, so her turns will come up faster than you'd anticipate. Everything else, her EX and Brave Plus and HP Plus, are normal turn rates. So if you don't want her to be jumping turns for other characters, make sure you're relying on the Brave Plus, HP Plus. And she is pure ranged. She does have the wind element on skill 1 proper shots, so be careful about wind element absorb or immune enemies. I think those are all the important nuances. Arrow, since you have more personal experience with Maria, I'll let you take it from here.
So I used her back in the EX era when she first got her EX. I went and pulled because I'm a big FF2 fan. So back then she was pretty good in the EX era. Like I know she had like that conditional on proper shot and everything, but she typically would hit it. So that was never really a concern. The main thing that she had problems with was longevity before because she didn't have an HP plus. She only had a Brave plus before. And so you had to kind of watch her skill uses because she could kind of run out really, really fast in the EX battles. And you might not be able to keep using, you couldn't just spam skills with her and win. Her niche has kind of changed. Before she was already just a physical party buffer who all happened to heal and do a little bit of battery. And she had the explode debuff. But they've really pushed her further now, I feel like, into a physical attack battery character. Like, so you're going to want to pair her with those kinds of characters that can take advantage of the physical attack buff. And in that case, 9 is actually a really good party mate for her, oddly enough, because he gives additional auras and, the extra, what is it I'm looking for? Like the brave shields and everything, they just kind of synergize very nicely together. And he doesn't have a problem with her buffs because he has the 4 frame buffs already, but then she's only giving him 2 more. So it works out perfect. I think her niche is interesting. Like she's more of a battery character that happens to heal. But she does have some auras to kind of, buff your party, but I wouldn't see her as a aura support. She's a battery support healer. And now with the EX, when you use it, you can spam her skills a lot better now. And I actually don't mind the high turn rate skills because you can set up better for certain plays. You can have her use one of her skills, get a jump ahead. And depending on where she jumps ahead, you might be able to do a Brave Plus and protect your party from a dangerous attack, for example, which is something I did in the story chapter, Chaos. I think she's a really cool character. I think she's not going to be for everyone, but her niche is definitely not a bad one either because we haven't had a character that kind of focused more on the physical aspect, like a physical team in this way, I think in a long time. So I'm appreciative of it. I'm okay with where she's at. And I think the rework has done her justice. Thank God she doesn't have a conditional anymore.
Yeah, Black Cloud, did you have any thoughts on Maria?
Her skill 1 getting splashed is nice. Too bad I forgot that during the challenge quest. But she seemed solid enough for the challenge quest at 0 to 3, and that's all I really needed for her. So good enough.
Yeah, she does play well with some other certain characters. Actually, this banner, which would be Ardyn, Maria, and Lilizette, is actually a decent team. Is it the strongest team right now? Well, it's pretty strong with Ardyn, but Lilizette is a little bit outdated even with her character boards. And Maria, got a good boost, but I mean, they do synergize really well together because she needs some auras to make her decent. But yeah, she does really pair well with characters who need batteries, like Noctis and Ardyn, two physical damage dealers who both have follow-up attacks, who both have decent HP pluses that can trigger a follow-up attack. So, they do like batteries and Brave Regen, obviously. But yeah, you can't really run her as your solo support, I don't think, and that's problematic. Like you can run Basch as your solo support, and that's really, I think that's really my problem with Maria right now is, am I gonna take Basch, who has better auras and can't die and tanks all my damage, so I don't have to have a healer, and can heal a little bit, or Maria? Well, Basch has an LD, and Maria doesn't. So, and you may already have Maria's EX, so that's a bonus for her. You don't have to pull. Or if you did, maybe you were ready to like her. But yeah, if you like her and she does have an interesting niche, and we have a lot of physical characters who she does complement, but I'm not particularly overwhelmed. I don't think anybody's going out of their way to pull for Maria. Those who already wanted to probably already had her. Unless you're a newer player and she's one of your favorites, then pick her up. And you want to learn all the gritty details about her, you can go to tomberrytroop.com. And check out that beautiful infographic with her very purple hair and red eyes. Always freaked me out, the Final Fantasy II cast. Their aesthetic's a little weird. But so it goes. Hey, we're not here to talk just about Maria. We're here to talk about a brand new character and the kind of bad villain main antagonist of Act 2. His name is Ardyn. So, Keiss, do you want to walk us through who the heck Ardyn is? And we don't really care who he is in terms of Final Fantasy 15, but just in terms of what he does.
Do we want to let BC get the memes out of the way first?
Yeah. Can you give us some comparisons, Black Cloud, to what he might do?
So, as I said in my my very accurate and reliable tier list video, he is basically a Jekt Lightning Basch Noctis Squall, I think that's what it was. He gets
right.
3 turns on break, so therefore he's all those characters, and he can't die, so he's also Basch. He does Warp Strike, so he is also Noctis, and he does AoE damage, so he's also Squall. I'm glad I've explained it well.
He wears a hat, so he is also Irving.
Yep.
And he is a somewhat immortal, misguided villain like Ultimecia. So he's basically Ultimecia.
Oh, he's a villain. So he's Seymour.
Yeah, Seymour.
And he's a Dark Knight,
good.
so he's Leon too.
Yeah, he's like he's like a melee Seymour. Arrow, thank you for the subscription. Appreciate that. You got a job and can support us. So thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah, so Keiss, why don't you tell us what he actually does, because all of those comparisons are not great, because every character in this game is unique. So let's see what this unique character does. Take it away, Keiss.
Sure. So Ardyn, despite the jokes, he is a pure damage dealing character with several gimmicks built into his kit. A couple things to explain before we go into the way his kit works. He has a special stacking mechanic called Spectral Charge. He gets a stack of this every time he breaks a target with his first skill called Warp Strike. He also gets a stack of this every time he uses his EX ability, Rising Phantom. So he has 2 ways to build up this stack. If you fully realize him, he starts with 3 stacks. He can get to 5 stacks max. As long as he has 3 stacks, he will always follow up any HP attack he does with a follow-up attack very similar to the way Noctis follows up his plus abilities with a follow-up attack. So he has a similar mechanic to that, which is the reason we joked about him being Noctis. But he isn't really Noctis, he does this all the time. So Spectral Charge is his first mechanic. What Spectral charge does, along with giving him those follow-up attacks, is it gives him Brave regen based on his max Brave, and it increases Stolen Brave overflow. Second thing he has is a generic or a frame buff that he gets from his second skill, Aura of Darkness, called Shadow Step. Shadow Step increases his attack and max Brave, but the major mechanic of it is that when Ardyn breaks a target, he gets another turn for free that does not increase turn count, very similar to Lightning/Ject with this. So he wants to maintain Shadow Step because this is how he gets his free turns. So, if you're following along, Ardyn gets follow-up attacks on all his HP attacks, as long as he maintains Spectral Charge at 3 stacks or more. He gets free turns every time he breaks a target, a la Lightning or Ject, as long as he maintains Shadow Step. And here's where it all falls in together. He has an additional ability called Break, Reset, Slash, very similar to Lightning's additional ability. It allows him to unbreak targets. And his EX ability will also unbreak all targets before he uses it. So he has a couple ways to unbreak targets. His Burst ability will also unbreak targets. So he has a couple ways to unbreak targets during combat if he needs to. So, we will now get into how his abilities work. He has 9 uses of his first ability, Warp Strike. Warp Strike is a simple single target attack. If he breaks a target, he gains Brave Gain after the attack is done, and as I mentioned, he gains Spectral Charges if he breaks the target as well. His second skill, Aura of Darkness, is an AoE Brave plus HP attack that does split damage. So those two skills are pretty simple. As long as he has Spectral Charge active, he also has access to a Brave++ and an HP++. Brave++ is very simple. It's 3 Brave hits, and he also gets Brave Gain based on his max Brave if he breaks a target. His HP++ is just 3 Brave hits, that he also gains Brave based on his max Brave if he breaks a target with that. You see a pattern. If he's breaking targets, he gets extra Brave. His EX ability gets stronger based on the number of Spectral Charge stacks he has. If he has less than 3 Spectral Charge stacks, he does an AoE Brave plus HP attack once. If he has 3 to 4 Spectral Charge stacks, he does it twice. And if he has 5 Spectral Charge stacks, he inflicts it 3 times and guarantees a break. So before you use your EX ability, you want to make sure you're at Spectral Charge 5, because that way you do it the strongest. And after you use Rising Phantom, his EX ability, he gets a free ability use on his next turn. It's up to you how you want to use it. If you want to use it on Break, Reset, Slash to his additional ability to guarantee the free turn afterwards. If you want to use it on Warp Strike to maintain Spectral Charge. If you want to use it on Aura of Darkness to maintain Shadow Step. Whatever way you want to do it. So, we're going to move on to his LD, because I haven't mentioned what his LD does yet. When he uses LD, he sets his HP to 0, gains Brave based on the HP reduction, and then he does an AoE Brave plus single target HP attack that does 50% splash damage. Now you're asking, why does he reduce his HP to 0 but not die? Well, he gives himself a buff called Overkill. Overkill makes it so he cannot die, and gives him an attack and max Brave buff. As long as Overkill is alive, he cannot die. When Overkill expires or is removed, he sets his HP to 1. If his HP is at 0 or less than 1. So his LD basically makes it Dark Tornado. His LD Dark Tornado basically makes it so Ardyn is unkillable. So it gives him 4 times 9, 36 turns of unkillable status. Obviously, because Ardyn has the unkillable status, or the free turns, these turns can go by very quickly, so be careful with that. And finally, he has his burst ability, Royal Retribution. His burst ability is an AoE Brave plus HP attack. It unbreaks after the ability is completed, so he can immediately go into doing a free turn if he can set it up so he's going next afterwards. But the big ability that happens is that the burst effect gives the party max Brave and Brave regen based on max Brave every turn, where it gets stronger up to 50% of party max Brave and 50% max Brave regen every time Ardyn inflicts a break with a 20% increment. So if Ardyn inflicts one break, it goes from 10% to 20 or 30%. And if Ardyn inflicts two breaks during the time the burst effect is up, it gets to full effect. So basically, Ardyn wants to try to get those two breaks as fast as possible during the burst effect so that he can get it to full power and let his allies take advantage of it. And that's his kit. Basically, he is a powerful, and also, just a reminder, all of his attacks are melee and non-elemental. So he's basically a walking powerhouse that is designed to do a lot of single target damage with some AoE abilities baked in. For the most part, he's going to be doing mostly single target damage because of his HP plus and his warp strike abilities. Obviously, he can do a lot of AoE damage thanks to his skill 2, Aura of Darkness, his LD, Dark Tornado, and his powerful EX ability, Rising Phantom. But he's going to have to lean into the single target ability, Warp Strike, and the HP plus most of the time, especially for longer fights. Overall, I think there's a lot of hype built up around him. I'm not going to really lean in on that. I did obviously pull for him, but he's very strong. He does have free ability uses, but he has a slow charging EX, so keep that in mind. And I will pass it off. I'll let Arrow say a couple things. I don't think she has a lot to say because villain, and then we'll kick it over to BC to say his thoughts, because I think BC, you had a lot of experience with Ardyn in Japan, right?
It was more the event that I had
the
more
event.
stuff
Okay.
to talk about, but yeah, I got some stuff.
Okay, so Arrow, you give your 2 cents, and then we'll kick it over to BC to say some things.
All right, so yeah, I was just laughing for a moment there about the villain comment, but let's ignore the fact he's a villain for a moment. Now, I feel like where Noctis's utility is all about like helping his allies get turns and everything with his LD, Ardyn is a little more like selfish about it. His utility is in breaking and re-breaking enemies. I think he's pretty good on paper. If you passed on a bunch of physical attackers, I don't see why this one would be bad in any way. I wish there was a co-op. I really wanted to see him in action personally yesterday, and I didn't get the chance to. So I don't have anything else to say. I'm sorry. I'll pass it over to BC.
All right, I'll speak on the character first. He gets a lot of hype, mainly I think because he's one of those characters that can solo things, and those videos tend to pop in the community for some reason that I still don't quite understand. But I mean, people lean into it; it's their thing. It's fun to show off. But actual party wise, he's very strong, mainly because he's one type and he only has 2 buff slots, which means he's not annoying to build a team with. He doesn't do any debuffs, and he's non-elemental, so you can enchant him, make him work wherever. And so it's that reason that he can stick around. Another part of the reason I think he's somewhat popular is just that he's a recent game. He's a popular character, so people like him and they use them more. I think it's just sort of that bit of bias tends to make characters more popular in hindsight. Also, he's just kind of cool looking, but character-wise, he's solid. Straight up DPS. Manage your overkill well. His LD buff, his burst is very good. Again, not super necessary. There's no foresight in mind for his LD boards. He has not run in JP to this day. The trend for those tends to be they get a double dump and his on a double attack on the LD attack, and you can kind of just tell from the animation that it looks like it should dump once and then do it again. So that's probably what he's going to get. But I can pretty much guarantee he's going to have a strong comeback. So if you get him now, he's going to be good later too. So there's that to worry about. People like to tout him, saying, "Oh, he can do Lufenia fights," and he definitely can. I think I only used him once, but I saw many others use him in various parts. By that point, he'll be a 2 or 3 month old DPS. So I mean, if you want to keep using him by that point, feel free to. But that kind of applies to anyone. I saw Squall being used right before his rework. So, I mean, if you want to make someone work, you put in the work to do it. Don't let anyone's preconceived runs determine who you're running based on that. But yeah, not much to say about the character. Maximize your breaks. Do you guys mind if I go a little bit into the event now and how it was in JP side?
Yeah, let me just share a couple little things, and then just about his kit, and then then we'll push it back to you for the event here. One thing Keiss I don't think said was you do really want to get him to 5 stacks real quick. And the easiest way to do that is if you can break an enemy to use Warp Strike. Hey, wanna be? Thank you for the subscription. You want to use his Warp Strike if you can break them. If you can't break them, then you want to use his AA. He gets 3 uses of the AA. He can use his free abilities on AA. So to get up to 5, because he doesn't get the free abilities from his EX, and his EX doesn't trigger 3 times or do 3 HP dumps if you're not up to 5 stacks. So the other thing I wanted to say before I send it back to Black Cloud is Ardyn spends a lot, and it was just something I was thinking about as I was character boarding him today. Ardyn spends a lot of his time at 0 HP. A lot of our summon board passives are if you are more than 80% of your health. So the Tomberry Troop in their infographic and notes, if you actually go to their website, Inkwelder always does some extra notes on the characters. So it's always worth going to their website and checking it out. So his suggestion would be to use Brothers 2, 4, and 5, Diablos 4, 5, and 6, Odin 3, 6, and 7, and Bahamut 4, 5, and 6. Those are the ones that are different as opposed to the standard. But yeah, you can also consider taking off some of those 80% up passives, instead of some other things that you might save some CP on. Realizing that, you can heal Ardyn so he can get back up to over 80%, but he is spending a lot of time. So especially those things that, HP damage reduction, HP heal passives, those are not going to help him. So be careful when you're going through your passives. You might want to pay a little bit more attention than you normally do. Black Cloud, why don't you kind of transition us here and talk about the event in Japan?
Okay, this is the disclaimer I want to make before this is they've already shown they're going to differentiate in global with this global exclusive challenge quest. I can confirm that the Ifrit chaos that was for the chapter, it was not a challenge quest in the Japanese side. I don't know why, but that is a thing that happens. That's something to be aware of. But at the time, Ardyn was a bit of a surprise. I think he was data mined a little bit earlier, but I can't quite remember. But he was a surprise, and they decided to introduce a new raid. There was a 2-part raid. First, it was Sephiroth. No, Sephiroth was second. It was X-Death and the Plains Gorger. I think it was something story related. But that was cool. It was normal Cosmos raid, showing up with Rinoa. That's why this quest seems a little bare. Just because Rinoa is expected in a couple days. I think Taz was talking about it. Taz was talking about it in the chat. September 30th on 2 UTC. Yeah, so that's something. Rinoa is coming, probably. Can't guarantee it, obviously. But and this was where Kane was supposed to get his rework too. So things are a bit muddled right now. But really, the highlight of this event was the Chaos Raid, which they decided to implement for the first time, and it didn't go very well. I think you could farm about 350 tickets. It's really easy to look at it from the outside in and be like, oh, a Chaos Raid, finally, it's a co-op that'll take a little bit more time. We could have some fun. But one, I'm sure you all saw the Noctis players in co-op who didn't know how to manage Noctis' skills. You will be thrown in the face of Ardens who managed to die. As hard as that sounds, y'all know it's going to happen. When Ardens who don't get to 5 hat stacks, all that, it required a perfect 50 runs. 50 run. Can you imagine? I know some of you masochists like running the TCC challenge and doing the chaos a million times, but can you imagine doing the same fight with the same characters 50 times? It was brutal. I think I tapped out after about 5. And what made it worse in Japan, especially, and I tell this story all the time, I almost quit the game at this time because the game was broken. Ardyn was constantly crashing the game. Thankfully, these bugs did not come to global. Ardyn's HP, when he'd go down at the end of a fight, he wouldn't recover correctly. So the camera would bug out and you just couldn't select finished. So people weren't getting their Chaos Raid points. And even if you did manage to get through the raid, sometimes your points just weren't counted for some random reason. So I saw people who did like 10 chaos runs only to realize, oh no, none of that counted. And that was just like, yikes. The game was crashing all the time. It was just, everything was all bad at once. But it looks like since Ardyn isn't crashing the game, we got this global exclusive challenge quest. I'm really praying we don't have to do 50 runs of a chaos challenge, that it'll be better. But those are just things to be aware of. But if you do decide, and if they have us do 50 chaos runs, don't hate yourself. I'm not promising anything, but just be aware that that's coming. I think that's all I had.
Thank you, BC, for that insight. Yeah, 50. I mean, 50 Cosmos chaos or Cosmos co-ops. Yeah, could be problematic. I've seen. I've been part of it. You know, I do random. Of course, you can come on our Discord and get a group together and do your co-ops, especially with chaos. But yeah. I can see. You know, the one thing about Ardyn, if you're not paying attention, he can burn through turns, which means he burns through his LD buff. Yeah. And you can be real. I mean, if you're not paying attention, he can go, burn through his LD buff, get a, free turn, enemy axe and kills him. I mean, it can happen.
I forgot something big. This is another thing that hurt when playing. This is when Brave Reduction, they really kicked the Brave Reduction up to uncanny levels in this raid. And not in the chaos, but in the raid fight. It went from like 25% to like 50%, and then just seeing that drop in damage for the first time was very demoralizing. I don't think it was nearly as bad going forward, but this raid had an absurd amount of Brave Reduction for some reason. So it was all those factors that just made the game really obnoxious at the time. I hope they don't repeat these mistakes.
Well, it is interesting that we do have like 6 days between the chapter and the raid. They're going to talk more about it on the Squex mobile stream, which we'll talk about here in a little bit. So we'll see kind of what we have to look forward to. Hopefully, yeah, we do get Renoa and that banner, and we'll see if Kane is on it or not. But let's talk about the podcast polls before we do talk a little bit more about this particular chaos fight that is in front of us. And I have to get it up here. Yeah, so of course, always come on our Discord or any Defo Discord and submit your podcast poll to vote what are you doing on this banner. We had one banner, and we have 10 servers who took part in this poll. 40 people willing to pity the burst weapon. And I saw quite a few people try. And unfortunately, some, like our friend Keiss, did have to do that.
Yep. So for those of you who missed it last night in the RNG Poll Arts channel, I went to 500G tokens and whiffed both Ardyn's LD and his BT. I did eventually get Ardyn's LD with tickets and was able to pity the BT, but my luck was pretty bad.
Yeah, it is a worst case scenario. Thankfully, Keiss did get the LD on some tickets. But yeah, 40 willing to pity the BT. I don't, I feel like I want to say something about, and I've said something before because, of course, I pitied Squall's BT. He's my favorite character, my favorite protagonist. Excuse me, he's not my favorite character. He's my favorite protagonist who's going to get a BT. It's not the best move, right? I mean, so unless you're not concerned about the other characters at all, there are 4 banners. I think generally speaking, take a few chances at a few different LDs before you go to the BT. But if you're only going to do one banner, use your gems however you want. Anyway, 40 pities the BT, 47 pity the LD, 27 throwing gems on this, 136 using tickets, and 30 brave souls skipping this banner completely. I don't believe them. But you may have run out of resources and so didn't have a chance. But yeah, good luck. I hope all of you did not have to do it. But if you want to see how Black Cloud and I did, you can go to our respective YouTube channels, Black Nero Defo, the Crystal Chronicles Defo, and you can see our poll videos, our excellent poll videos. Some of the best poll videos on the internet today. Make sure you like, subscribe, and ring the bell for notifications while you're there. Anyway, just trying to help you out. There was a chaos. Do we want to talk at all about the story, I guess, before we get into the chaos? I know it just came out last night. I know I completed the story. I think Arrow Black Cloud completed the story. Keiss is on his way. Any non-spoiler, we can talk spoilers next week. Any non-spoiler thoughts about the story? I'll start with you, Arrow.
I'm going to tell you, I'm disappointed in one thing alone. Maria and Lilith are featured on the banner here with Ardyn. Why aren't they anywhere in the chapter? Like, I'm serious. They don't appear once. They don't even say a single line in this chapter. Usually when you put story characters on a banner, they're somehow relevant to the chapter as well. They get at least one scene. They get at least one line, something. But this didn't happen here, and I was very disappointed. I wanted to see my girl, do something in the story, have some relevance, but it didn't happen. So,
yeah,
otherwise...
Predator 501 is saying that they're manning the camera. So
I guess that's I guess they're just hanging out in the background. They're just so used to being on the bench now. That they can't believe they're being called up to do anything. So who knows?
Yeah. But, what are they called? What do they call the people who help run the theater production? Not the actors, but the people like do all the stage management.
Stage crew, I think.
Yeah, there's a name for it that it's not coming to me. Yeah, grips. There's something. It's not coming to me. That's because
theater people are weird, so it doesn't matter.
I'm just so disappointed. Like there's like a lot of stuff going on in this story chapter. Could they not take in like 5 seconds to put these two characters doing something, like telling Ardyn, you're bad, or helping knock this out in some way? I don't know. It was a nice chapter, but I almost was a little disappointed. Even besides that, I feel like all this build up, I don't know. I just, the lead up to it just wasn't as exciting as I hoped it would be. I was really pumped, and I don't know. It just didn't deliver for me. I don't want to get in too much spoiler territory. It just wasn't my favorite chapter from this arc at all.
They're definitely. They did not spoil Final Fantasy 15 as much as they've gone into spoilers in other games. I assume that was because you can still play 15 pretty easily. It's still available to buy. I mean, they kind of did. If you had played Final Fantasy 15, you could infer it. But I imagine if you hadn't played Final Fantasy 15, it might be a little less clear, the spoilers that they shared. But Black Cloud, did you have any kind of initial thoughts about this chapter just in general in terms of what we were presented with?
I remember the gist of it from when I read translation JP side, but this time I rushed through the chapter. I plan to use the beautiful Memoria Theater later on to watch the cutscenes because I wanted to get a video out of the challenge quest.
Yep, that's how it works. Yeah, when you create content and when you're hosting a podcast 24 hours after the event launches, yeah, it takes a while to get through that freaking chapter. That's for sure. It's so nice when events launch like on the night of the podcast or, after the podcast so that I have a week to play the game as opposed to doing all of it during the day as I'm frantically trying to do 17 other things. So, Keiss, I know you haven't completed the chapter, but any thoughts initially just from what we've been presented with? No real thoughts
on the story yet. I haven't seen enough.
Yeah. Really, I don't think any new enemies, a couple new backgrounds, some new music, not much. Final Fantasy 15 music, of course. I think there's a Latin vocal version of the theme, so that gets played a few times, and of course the finale music gets played a couple times. So, but yeah, in terms of that, you fight things that we fought before, nothing too unusual. But you do have a chaos fight. And that chaos fight brings you 2 waves, I believe. I'd have to go back and look here real quick to see what it is. But it is the third wave, or the second wave, is a Efreet. You actually fight a Efreet, just like from your summon boards, except he's a lot more powerful than the summon board version. Let me go into Chosen King here. And the first wave is 3 mannequins, lightning, Noctis, and Locke. It is kind of a nasty combo of mannequins. Noctis actually has his EX ability. I don't necessarily.
He does. Wow.
Yeah, Noctis does have his EX ability. I don't think Lightning does not have hers, and Locke does not have his. So Locke has his skill 1, skill 2. Lightning has her skill 1, skill 2. But Noctis does have a recast ability, and that is his EX ability. And it can be pretty nasty, actually. Unless you bring Basch, which I did just for the regular chaos fight.
Yeah.
And yeah, that is on a recast, a Retro Gamer Dad. So it does blink red just like any other recast ability. So I mean, really, I think they're all pretty tanky. They got a decent number of HP, so I think that's probably a little bit harder than the Ifrit. I mean, I don't think Ifrit does anything particularly different than his Chaos version in the Summon Battle. He is very resistant to magic. He absorbs fire. He's immune to max Brave Down. But he does his normal kind of set routine, at least as much as I've seen. I've only played it once because it just came out. As much as I've seen it, I've not noticed anything out of the ordinary. So if you're just bringing with a normal team, you're going to find a lot of different ways. We have a lot of different characters that can take this quest on. You know, Ardyn can solo it. I think Vayne Novus from the Tonberry Troop, you can check out his YouTube. Vayne already did an Ardyn solo of this chaos. So yeah, you can solo it if you like to do that kind of thing. But this does have a challenge quest, and we only have 3 characters, I believe, right? There's literally only 3 options, right? You don't get to use Basch on this, right? Or anything else. Yeah, just Ardyn, Maria, and Lilizette. I keep saying Lizette because that's one of our one of our friends on Discord. But Lilizette, who is the character in Defo. Yeah. Thank you, Arrow, for sharing that link to Vayne Novus' solo of this chaos. But yeah, so if you want to do this chaos challenge quest, you have 3 options, and they are a good team. Ardyn, Maria, and Lizette. The problem is most of us had Lizette if we had her at 1 out of 3 because she functions real good at there. And but at 1 out of 3, you can't get her full character boards unlocked. And most of us don't have Maria 3-3. So, yeah. But I think Black Cloud had an opportunity to do this challenge quest if you wanted to share some insights on what you did already.
It wasn't horrible. I think I played because I wasn't used to Maria. So I think I mentioned this maybe in the pre-show or I think during the Maria discussion. But if I had used the splash of Maria's skill 1 a little bit better and just generally knew how she works, it probably could have gone a bit better. I used it 0 to 3 EX. What's her name? Maria. I forgot it already. 1 out of 3 Lilith. Neither of them were character boarded, and I had Ardyn's LD. I play a little bit too passively, and I have skills left at the end. But otherwise, there's a bunch of copies of that same team all over, so it's relatively manageable. It's not an Odin, and it's not a 210 chaos. That's the, but it's also not a Basch either, or a 9 chaos. So
yeah, you can get by. If you have Ardyn's Burst, obviously that's going to help a big chunk because that's a whole nother 6 turns and extra brave, and it just helps, obviously. But you can get by without investing in Maria or Lilizette. Obviously, having their EX weapons does help considerably. It's just an extra skill and extra abilities, everything else. But there may be runs, and we'll see them coming up, especially with Ardyn, LD, BT. There are probably runs with just 35, or of course you can just solo it. I don't know if Vayne's solo probably had a friend unit though, so I don't know if the challenge quest you can be solo, but we'll find out because somebody will do it. All right, so good luck. I know there was some comments. I actually got a comment on Facebook. I don't remember off the top of my head who it was from, but a comment on Facebook saying, this challenge quest is a little ridiculous because we only have 3 options, where a lot of challenge quests, when a new LDBT comes out, you have 6 options. New character event, you always get to have the Lost Chapter character, so that's 5 options. Lost Chapter is 4 options. So, we've gone from challenge quests with 6 characters, challenge quests with 5 characters, challenge quests with 4 characters. This may be the first challenge quest where we've been limited to 3 characters. I don't know if that's, I think that's arguably not great game design. It's really good development design in terms of, well, you got to pull. Or you got to skip. That's really at the end of the day. You got to pull on this banner and get Ardyn's LD, or you got to be okay skipping this challenge quest. And at the end of the day, I guess it was an extra challenge quest that Japan didn't get, so I guess it's kind of a bonus.
It's making me wonder if this is why they didn't do it Japan side, because if they do, because Renault is definitely coming, but Aphmau, I don't know if he's going to be the synergy again, and I don't know about Kane, but Aphmau and Renault would be useless because Ifrit's a magic resist,
right?
Yeah,
and they didn't tweak the resistances for Ifrit, so I don't know what their plan is really. It's weird. I guess we'll have to see how it pans out. GL exclusive.
Yeah, I would not anticipate, like Black Cloud is saying, that if the raid banner comes, that then magically Aphmau and Renault will get synergy on this. And Kane, if that's what the banner is. And even if they did, they're not going to be useful whatsoever. So, because he just absorbs he doesn't absorb the magic, but he does resist it heavily. I don't know. I don't know how to feel about it. I have the characters. I pulled on the banner. I can imagine if you have done all the challenge quests, you've probably had to pull on something too. So that's kind of the nature of challenge quests in general. But it does seem, I think it would be preferred if you had 5 or 6 options for every challenge quest as opposed to just 3, because that really does pigeonhole you in. But on the other hand, at least there are 3 characters that kind of work together as opposed to 3 random people that don't do anything. So, it is what it is, I guess. And I think you can feel okay skipping if you don't want to pull on this banner at all. Arrow,
one thing I will comment about is that because the raid event is delayed until next week, this means we're going 2 weeks without a new co-op, which is very, very uncommon for us.
Yeah, and I don't know. I haven't looked. I'm in the game right now here. I don't think anything's been updated in the game to see if there's like an autumn co-op, and I don't recall seeing any announcements about an autumn co-op besides the raid event. So
nope. That was me misreading things.
No, right. But it could have made sense. So yeah, it's good because I still need to do some 9 co-op. Because I've done 8 out of 40 or 25 or how many ever co-ops you need for the Chocobo panel. I haven't done that. Because unlike me, no, I don't do my 5 bells a day if I don't have to. I don't even play this game. What's Defo?
I'm a little disappointed that there's not at least something I feel like to do. Not seeing the story co-op like how I'm used to was very disappointing. I really wanted to see what Ardyn could do last night because I just wanted to get through the story chapter, but I wanted to do some of the co-ops to see him, and so I could comment about him better than he seems good. But and I don't know. I'm happy at least we got the ×2 cycle rewards, but no autumn co-op is just kind of making me sad.
Are you planning to? Oh, go ahead, Black Cloud.
The protagonist banner. I don't think anyone brought that up for the what's it called? The autumn, fall, whatever festival.
Oh yeah, no. Yeah.
The what banner?
The protagonist. I'm gonna read it off because I opened the website. We get to perform 1 free multi-draw from a special banner featuring the protagonists, totaling a maximum of 18 free draws. This banner features the powerful and rare EX weapons of protagonists from their respective Final Fantasy title represented within the city of Final Fantasy Opera Omnia. So basically, it's just a giant banner just of the protagonist weapons that I guess we get free pull on every day.
Yeah, so we're gonna get free daily multi-pulls.
And there is a co-op. There is an autumn co-op.
And there will be a co-op that probably goes along with that sometime frame. 18 Chocoblades, yeah.
So I did read that correctly. It's just not active yet. Okay.
Correct.
Yeah, so there should be some incoming events. Of course, we will learn a little bit more about what is coming here on Monday. But Arrow, I was going to ask you, are you planning to utilize that Ardyn LD EX to do the challenge quest?
I gotta build a summon boards if I'm gonna do it. I think I saw some people doing other budget runs, so I'm hoping a 03 EX plus Ardyn, if I do the challenge quest, will be more than enough with that LD.
With his LD, yeah.
Yeah, of course it's the LD, but
although
didn't get invest.
he doesn't start with 3 stacks of his special ability if you don't purple him. So
it's gonna be the only thing, but I think I'll be able to manage it. I mean, because I'll have Maria character boarding, and she'll be purple, so that'll kind of help out a lot. And Lila said, I have her at the 1-3. I did that back when she had her EX release way, back at that horrible other raid that we won't speak of.
Yeah, I'm just thinking about editing my 18 free multi-draws into one video. That's going to be fun.
I think the only thing I'm missing out of those pro tags is Ace. So I'm hoping he will finally join my roster. I don't know. He's always evaded me on every banner, and I've dumped tickets quite often on him.
We have the protagonist shop, right? The EX, it's the not the power exchange. It's the the other shop is still up, right? So you can look and see what the protagonists are.
I don't know if those banners are. I don't know if the people in the EX shop are the same ones on the banner. That's a great question.
Because I think I have every single protagonist EX. I was missing Vaughn. I got Vaughn. Yeah, I was missing Lael, and I got Lael. So yeah, I have all of them. So that's going to be nice duplicates. Nice dupe city for me. Power stones. There you go. 18 power stones. That's sounds good to me. Gives me more time to spend, leveling up other things I didn't need to do, which I have spent some power stones recently. Of course, I haven't sold any of my LDs, so it's not like I don't have a power stone sitting around. Hey, every week we have Abyss, since that's an ongoing thing, and Black Cloud. We haven't had you on since Abyss Perfectum launched.
Oh God. You're right.
Any thoughts or reflections from your point of view about Abyss Perfectum as a global exclusive content?
It was a nice change of pace. I liked busting out different sides of my roster. I hope they keep it up. The final piece of the Perfectum felt slightly overtuned, but people got around it, and it got power creeped by like Basch, Noctis, and Ardyn, and whatever. So if you suffered through it like a lot of us did at the beginning, congrats, but now it's a lot easier. So I mean, that's whatever. Permanent content, not a big deal, except for those EX tokens that are going to expire in like a week, I think it is.
It is a week, so you got to get to it in the next week.
But yeah, Ardyn and Noctis and Basch all make that last fight considerably easier. Noctis made I haven't done it with Basch. I should go back and play it with Basch. Noctis made it very, very easy compared to the team that I used pre-Noctis. 125 turns or whatever ridiculousness that took. But yeah, there you go. Hey, Keiss, is there some host discussion for today?
There are some questions. I don't know if I want to ask them all this week.
Well.
Because some people who ask questions are trolls.
Well, we know who they are.
Yeah.
Because their usernames are
I don't know if I want to give them the time of day. So, okay. Let's see. Pikachu asks, now that we've gotten 3 EX tokens from Abyss, how are you going to get the remaining? How do you plan to get the remaining 2 if you have not gotten them through other sources? So I have decided this month that I'm just going to snatch up the 2 remaining EX tokens to get myself from the daily cactuars this month. I know Mark is getting the Uber Moogle pass, so I think you're already at it, right?
Yeah, I actually used 10 EX tokens for Ardyn's EX because I did not pull his EX, and I got his LD before I got his EX. So I actually am down to 3 because I have my 3 from Abyss. So I may do 5 because that would be nice. But I'm not sure. I like those nuggets, you know. So I like Pikachu's question, or some other ways. Yeah, the dark magic that I'm going to use to get my extra.
I kind of paraphrased his question. The way he actually phrased it was, now that we've gotten 3 EX tokens from Abyss, you going to get the remaining 2 from Daily Cactuar this month or the next?
Yeah, no, I get my 2 free EX tokens every month because I am a content creator. That comes with my VIP rate up package. So very nice. Thank you, Squex. Appreciate all that you guys do for us content creators. Arrow, any thoughts on that, on Pikachu's question?
About the EX tokens?
Yeah, you have an uneven number of EX tokens. Can you live with that, or are you going to do something about it?
I'm going to live with it because I usually get the EXs. It's the BTs these days I don't get. So even though I've been gym pulling, so there you go.
BC, any thoughts on that?
I think he stepped away, so I don't think I'll be able to answer.
Okay.
We'll move on to the next question, though. Some Call Me Brian asks, with the advent of Final Fantasy 16 being announced, do you think any characters will be featured in DFFOO way down the line, or will be far past DFFOO's lifespan for characters from that game to be in it? We'll see. It's gonna be tough to say. We'll see exactly how long it takes Final Fantasy 16 to actually come out. I'd flip a coin. I'd say it's a 50-50 on 16 characters maybe making it in to Opera Omnia.
So can I answer next?
Yeah, please.
Okay, it depends. Is this game going to be in development hell or not? So if it happens, hopefully this won't be another Kieran episode where poor guy gets released because it was supposed to be hype for the game and it kept getting delayed. And yeah, so I don't know. Hopefully if they do release a 16 character, the game doesn't keep getting delayed. It would be really awkward if that were to happen. Like the character comes first and then the game comes later. And I mean, like, much later.
Yeah, and we've generally had events. There hasn't been a lot of collaborative events between DFO and other Final Fantasy content. So, other games tend to do that better. FFRK did that pretty well. Brave Exvius does that too much. But yeah, and often when we do it, it is in the Japanese version. So they'll do like a Final Fantasy 15 collaborative, but then we'll have like stickers. So it won't be really any kind of release. So for us to get a Final Fantasy 16 character, I would expect Japan to get one before we got one, and then by that time the game probably won't exist. So, but who knows? I mean, if I was developing the game, yes, as soon as Final Fantasy 16 came out, there would be a Final Fantasy 16 protagonist on JP and on global simultaneously. It's just good marketing, right? But I'm all about making money for the game. So, any other questions, Keiss?
Labantine kind of has a follow-up question to that. Do you think we'll get Final Fantasy 16's main character before Riku or any tactics characters? Any more tactics characters?
Yeah.
I almost want to say yes, because it's almost a meme how Riku's been in the data since the beginning and still isn't released at this point.
Oh, look at how long it took them to get Guy into the game, so I don't know. Yeah, I'm going to go with the FF16 Pro Tag, probably making it in before Riku.
I think we're going to get Scott before Riku. So, it will be Scott and then Riku. Then you'll know Riku's coming when you get Scott. But yeah, no Final Fantasy Tactics characters ever. That game has been banned in DFO. I'm surprised Ramza got his LD BT. Someday.
We'll do one last question.
Someday.
It's already been answered in podcast questions, but we'll do it for the show. Final Azum asks, I have a non-DFFOO question,
Yeah.
if it's allowed. I listened to old podcasts and noticed that Mark was calling Mino Mano instead of, or Mino instead of Mino.
Mino.
When did the switch happen and why? Mino instead of Mino.
Yeah, all y'all have dumb names, right? And like make-believe names that I can barely read regular English, and then you throw regular make-believe names at me. So I just assume all of you have just ridiculous names that no one can pronounce. So yeah, Pierre and I read because Mino would pop up in chat and watch the show, and he was doing guides at the time on Reddit, right? And so yeah, I mean, I read it as Mino, or Pierre read it. I don't know who read it first.
Probably Pierre.
Yeah, as Mino. Yeah, he didn't correct us for a while. I mean, initially, you wouldn't know this early on, but if you listen, initially he was kind of nervous being around. So yeah, so he didn't correct us like ever. And then I don't know if someone in chat corrected us. We were talking about this earlier, but I don't know when it happened. Did you correct
it before I joined the podcast?
I think it was corrected probably before you joined, but maybe not. I don't know.
I don't remember how long it went with you saying Mino.
Mino. Yeah, it is Mino. Mino spell good. It is a play on words. In case you didn't understand that, like I didn't. So that's what it is. So it took a while. That's all we got to say. But he kept coming back. Yeah. So there you go. Yeah.
And that's the last question we're going to answer.
All right. Well,
today. No, Mino, we're not going to answer your question. In fact, I'm going to delete it.
Nice. All right. If you have questions for us, you can go to our Discord and podcast questions, and we'd love to talk about your questions for the show. And of course, you can stick around for the post show on. Hopefully my computer doesn't crash like it did last week, and we'll have a post show this week. So we do have some dates. We have dates, not because we've had the Squex mobile stream, but we have dates because the free polls all have dates, and so we can kind of figure out which banners are coming around the free polls. So we know the next community stream is Monday. The raid event is the 29th or 30th, I believe. Kamari's LC is the 4th. And Edward's event is the 8th. We are also expecting Dimensions and Entropy Tier 16, a Heretic event featuring Kefka. We're at Kefka Cycle, right? Emperor's Lost Chapter, and Strago's event here in the coming month. So we should have dates for all of those at the next Squex mobile stream, which is Monday. Usually it's around 2 or 3 p.m. My time, Central Daylight Standard Time. But check your listings for when that is. And you can check out our Discord has news, so you can check that out as well. But you can check out their Twitter at DecidiaFFOO. Yeah, if you want to check out on the latest information, or just Squex Twitch channel. Hey, this has been episode 120 of the Crystal Chronicles. You can connect to us at tccpodcast.com or FFTCC Podcast on Facebook and Twitter. Of course, the Crystal Chronicles on YouTube and Twitch, and our Discord is available there. Check out our friends, the Tomberry Troop, tomberrytroop.com, and Macnol's website, DecidiaInfo.com, for all your wonderful needs. Special thanks to Keiss, myself, Arrow, Mino Spellgood, our teammates, our mod crew, Ink Welder from the Tomberry Troop, J.A. Jin Lee. You can check him out on YouTube. Macnol from Call to Arms, Quetz, MateriaBot, and Strafe on YouTube. Thank you, Dreamy, for our intro video, Jin Lee for our background emotes, Hate13 for our intro narration, Ryan is the Bomb 203 for our intro music. Special thanks to Black Cloud. And Black Cloud, how can we get in touch with you? How can we check out your stuff? And do you have anything upcoming that you want to talk about, or anything you've just produced you want to talk about?
My tier list video is really good, and you all should watch it and leave likes because there's people who didn't finish the video who are not happy with my choice in tiers.
So when you are done, if you haven't watched his tier list video, you can go to Black Nero on YouTube and check out that
I just
wonderful,
shared it in chat too.
wonderful tier list video. It's blowing up the internet, but make sure you don't just skip to the Black Cloud was nice enough. I think it's more trolling than anything to leave markers in. And so you can skip ahead to the end and kind of check something out. And it is hilarious to read all the comments. So make sure that you read all the comments. Because obviously there was several people who did not watch the video and did not get the gist of the video, which I will leave to your discerning tastes. But it is very well done and definitely filling a niche in defo content creating that I don't think we have right now. So I'm looking forward to more things from Black Cloud, Black Nero on YouTube for that. Special shout out to Shara, our friend from Main Chord, and Ricky Shu, who helps us with the TCC challenge. And hey, always shout out our co-founder, Pierre, and who's often doing all kinds of fun things here in Canada. This has been episode 120. Until next week, good luck to all of you. If you haven't pulled the BT and are chasing it on Renault's LD, I hope you get it. And I hope you get it easily. And definitely pull on Renault's LD. She is the best lady in defo. I know Arrow doesn't think so, so we'll argue about that next week. But until then, friends, this has been a wonderful time. And stick around for the post show. We'll talk to you later. Goodbye.